Imagine being trapped so deep underground that the person beside you slowly becomes the only chance you have to stay alive. This is the terrifying story of a teenage girl who made a dangerous choice just to have a friend. Make sure to like and subscribe for more chilling survival stories. Her name was Zoe. She was 15 years old. Zoe was a quiet and lonely girl. At school, she didn't have any close friends. During lunch breaks, while other teenagers sat in groups, Zoe usually sat alone in the corner, looking down at her shoes. She felt invisible. She preferred staying home instead of going to parties or school events. Her favorite food was cheesy garlic pasta, and her absolute favorite thing to do in the entire world was playing Roblox. Zoe spent hours on her computer every evening. She was especially obsessed with Roblox horror obbies, obstacle courses filled with dark hallways, creepy monsters, and sudden jump scares. Finding her way through scary mazes gave her a strange feeling of excitement that she never felt in real life. One rainy Friday night, while playing a popular horror obby, a pop-up message appeared on Zoe's screen. User Vortex_Explorer sent you a friend request. Zoe clicked on the profile. The username belonged to a girl named Sophie. Sophie had a cool avatar with an explorer hat and dark leather jacket. Curious, Zoe accepted the friend request. A chat box immediately opened. Sophie: "Hey, you played really well in that horror obby. Want to play another scary game together?" "Sure, I love horror obbies." That simple message was the beginning of everything. Over the next few weeks, Zoe and Sophie became inseparable online. Every single day after finishing her homework, Zoe rushed to her room to log into Roblox. Sophie was very different from Zoe. She was adventurous, fearless, and wild. Through their long chats, Zoe learned that Sophie was 16 and running a popular social media page focused on real-life urban exploration. Sophie spent her weekends visiting abandoned buildings, broken factories, and forgotten places, filming videos for her thousands of followers. She loved horror obbies because she said, real life wasn't scary enough for her. For Zoe, Sophie was like a dream come true. She wasn't just an online gamer anymore. She was Zoe's best friend. For the first time in her life, Zoe felt understood. One evening, after they finished beating an extremely difficult horror obby, Sophie typed a message that made Zoe's heart race. "Sophie, we've been talking and playing games for almost 3 months now. We live in the same state, just an hour away from each other. Why don't we finally meet in real life?" Zoe hesitated. She was shy and had never met an online friend before. "I don't know. My parents are very strict." "Come on, Zoe. Don't be scared. I found an amazing place outside town. It's an old, abandoned, underground railway tunnel. People online say it's haunted. It's just like the horror obbies we play, but in real life. It will be an awesome adventure." Zoe almost said no. She had promised her family she would stay home and study. But Sophie kept insisting. "Don't you trust me? I thought we were best friends." Zoe couldn't bear the thought of losing her only friend. Finally, Zoe agreed. Neither of them told their parents where they were going. On a cold Saturday afternoon, Zoe took a bus to the edge of the nearby town. Sophie was waiting for her near an overgrown path, wearing her signature explorer jacket and holding a small camera. Seeing each other in real life felt surreal. Sophie hugged Zoe warmly, making all of Zoe's nervousness instantly disappear. After nearly an hour of walking through an abandoned railway line covered in thick weeds and trash, they reached a rocky hillside. Half hidden behind wild bushes was a rusted metal door hanging wide open. Cold, damp air drifted out from the darkness. "This is it," Sophie smiled, turning on her camera to film. "The ultimate real-life horror obby." Zoe looked into the pitch-black opening and felt a sudden knot in her stomach. She wished she had stayed home in her safe, warm bedroom. The tunnel stretched deep beneath the earth. Water dripped constantly from the ceiling, making loud, echoing sounds. Old, rusted railway tracks disappeared into the darkness. They turned on their phone flashlights. Sophie was excited, talking loudly to her camera, while Zoe walked closely behind her, laughing nervously. They walked deeper and deeper. The air became heavy and hard to breathe. Suddenly, the ground shook violently beneath their feet. An old, crumbling concrete support cracked with a deafening boom. Before they could react, huge sections of the rock ceiling collapsed behind them with a terrible roar. Dust instantly filled the air, blinding them and making them cough. When the dust slowly settled, huge boulders and heavy dirt completely blocked the path they had just walked through. The metal door was gone. Zoe screamed in horror. Sophie dropped her camera and tried pushing the rocks, but nothing budged. They were completely trapped. Zoe grabbed her phone with trembling hands. No signal. To make matters worse, both of their phone batteries were already under 20% from taking photos and using flashlights. No one in the outside world knew where they were. Day 1. They shouted for help until their throats burned and their voices disappeared. The empty tunnel only echoed their desperate cries back at them. Hours passed in the dark. Nobody came. That night, the cold ground became unbearable. They wrapped themselves in old, dusty tarps they found near the tracks to stay warm, shivering together in the dark. Day 2. Their phone batteries finally died. The darkness became total and complete. You couldn't see your own hand in front of your face. While crawling around in the dark, Zoe discovered a tiny stream of groundwater trickling through a crack in the tunnel wall. The water tasted dirty and metallic, but it kept their dry throats hydrated. Food was another problem. There wasn't a single thing to eat. Their stomachs growled constantly, aching with sharp pains. Day 3. The hunger became deeply painful. Every small movement made Zoe lightheaded and dizzy. Sophie had injured her shoulder during the collapse. In the damp environment, her wound became swollen and infected. She developed a scorching fever. Zoe held Sophie's hand, trying to keep her awake by talking about their favorite Roblox games, funny teachers, and memories of their late-night gaming sessions. Sometimes Sophie smiled weakly. Sometimes she didn't answer at all. Day 4. Time lost all meaning. Without light, Zoe couldn't tell if it was day or night outside. In total desperation, she found a piece of old cardboard on the ground and chewed on it just to stop the empty, gnawing feeling in her stomach. It didn't help. She felt her strength slipping away. Her thoughts became slow and confused. Day 5. Zoe started hallucinating. In the silence, she imagined hearing her mother's voice calling her name for dinner. She smelled the scent of fresh garlic pasta. She even believed she saw bright sunlight at the end of the dark tunnel. Every time she scrambled toward it, there was nothing. Just cold, empty darkness. Sophie barely opened her eyes anymore. Her skin was burning hot, and her breathing had become shallow and uneven. Day 6. Zoe gently shook Sophie's cold shoulder. "Sophie, wake up, please." There was no response. Zoe placed her hand over Sophie's chest. No movement. She checked for breathing. Nothing. Zoe sat beside her dead friend for hours in the pitch black. She cried until no tears came out. The hunger inside Zoe's body became an unbearable, animalistic agony. Her mind stopped thinking like a human being. Survival became the only instinct left in her fading body. She looked at Sophie's lifeless body resting beside her, realizing that the only thing remaining in that dark tunnel to keep her alive was the friend who had guided her into it. Driven by absolute insanity and primal hunger, Zoe did the unthinkable. She forced herself to use her friend's body as her only source of food to stop the agonizing burning in her stomach. She knelt beside her friend, tears streaming down her dusty face, and whispered one final apology before making a heartbreaking choice she knew would haunt her forever. 3 more days. Zoe survived alone in the pitch-black tunnel for 3 more days. She drank small sips from the muddy stream. She barely remembered her own name. Every single minute felt like an eternity in hell. She just sat against the wall, waiting for death or rescue. Day 9. On the 9th day, a railway maintenance crew arrived in the area to inspect old underground lines after heavy rains caused landslides nearby. One worker stopped and heard a faint, weak knocking sound deep behind the rocks. "Did you hear that?" he called to his partner. They moved closer to the sealed entrance. The faint sound came again. Rescuers were called immediately. Heavy machinery worked non-stop for hours, clearing the massive wall of rocks. Finally, daylight broke through the dark opening. Zoe was sitting silently against the tunnel wall. She didn't smile, she didn't cry, she didn't speak. She simply stared blankly at the blinding light. The rescuers wrapped her trembling body in warm blankets and rushed her to the hospital emergency room. Zoe recovered physically after several weeks in the hospital, but emotionally, the quiet girl never returned. She never logged into Roblox again. She deleted her account. She threw away her computer and tablet. She stopped talking to people altogether. Doctors said she suffered from severe, permanent psychological trauma from surviving such horrific conditions. Even years later, hospital staff and family members sometimes heard her weeping softly and whispering one sentence before falling asleep. "I'm sorry, Sophie." No one ever heard her say anything else. Some wounds heal over time. Others stay with you forever.